we're doing an August tour and I'm sharing what's growing here in August and what I have planned for my fall garden. Okay, so we're going to start here with my containers. I continue to have lemon balm growing in here. I also have some lavender. And this is what happens with lavender. One day you have amazing big blooms, and then the next day it shrivels to nothing. It's very sensitive to moisture and well draining soil, and we've had about 3 weeks of continuous rain. Here I have oregano, and I harvested maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, it has completely flushed out and is ready to be harvested again. Here I have some of my ornamentals. So I have some sedums. They are forming their blossom heads, and they will bloom out a beautiful pink color. I also have my hardy hibiscus now in bloom. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. Here I have my rose bush, and it has been growing and rambling up this obelisk. And I am starting to have some yellowing of the leaves. And as I mentioned, we've had so much rain. We've had flash floods come through the area. So my rose bush isn't that happy. Now, because of the rain and the flooding, I've had to amend and make some changes here in my garden. So I really define my drainage swell here and put in some river rocks to allow the water to just kind of flow on out and follow the swell to the back of the yard. Now, to do that, I had to kind of thin out some of my ferns. So it had to be thinned out, and this area had to be cleaned to encourage good drainage. It is August, and this is what my hostas typically look like in August, and they're actually doing quite well. We've had high winds, flash floods, and considering all that they had to endure, they're looking pretty good. Here I have some chives, and I actually trimmed this maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's completely grown out, so it's time to be trimmed again. And this is what happens to my hydrangeas. They kind of die back. Um, they go to this lovely pale green, and then they turn brown, but they will hold their blossoms until I actually prune them down to the ground for the winter. So I just kind of leave them here. I did win the battle of the mealybugs. I found out that the katydids and the walking sticks and eventually the ladybugs came in, and they really wiped out those mealybugs. Here is my herbs, and I did a harvest with you, and as you can see, they have completely flushed out. You can never tell that I did any pruning, and they are ready to be pruned again, which will allow me to harvest them, dry them, and store them for the winter. Now we're just going to take a quick turn to see behind me. This is my pepper bed. I have some beautiful basil, and I have been harvesting and drying the basil. I have Marconi peppers here, and this one, I do have some flowers. I've recently harvested most of the Marconis off of here. I have some banana peppers growing in, and the banana peppers have been quite prolific. The leaves are nice and green, no pest damage, so I'm very pleased. Have additional banana peppers here, and this one's almost ready to be harvested, so I make sure I stay on top of the harvest. Okay, here's another Marconi, and it's putting on quite a bit of fruit. We're going to allow it to get just a little bit larger, and so it's doing well. Also have some basil, which is a wonderful companion and has been keeping my Marconi peppers and my banana peppers quite healthy. Here is my green bean trellis, and I've been very good about coming out daily to harvest some green beans. As you can see, I managed to miss some of the green beans, but it has trellised and is going all the way up and over. And I also have green beans planted in this bed. Now I have my harvest table here in the middle. I just kind of leave it because I'm out daily harvesting green beans from here. I can put them on the table. On that other arbor, I have tomatoes. So this is a great place to set down a bowl for my harvest. Now I do want to share that I am growing some cabbages. So this is a Copenhagen cabbage. I have two seedlings here. I have it under cover to give it a fair chance. And so I have two. I will thin to one when I know one is healthy and established. And as you can see, I have lots of help from my partners, the bumblebee. Okay, now let's just take a look at this bed here. As I mentioned, I have green beans growing. And for fall, I have my butternut squash up and going. The leaves look great. It is growing. And although it's August, we actually have some very favorable temperatures. Daytime temperatures in the 80s, nighttime temperatures 60s and 70s. I also have additional cabbage here, and I'm trying to figure out why my cabbage is not staying upright. And so I hope, usually when you see that your cabbage or any plant suddenly falls over, you kind of think you might have a problem with pill bugs, or I know them as pill bugs. Some people refer to them as roly-polies. So no matter what I try, it doesn't want to stay upright. But other than that, it looks pretty healthy. I'll keep it under cover. Okay, in this bed, I have additional cabbage. And I'm letting them all grow because, pests don't know who's going to make it. So it's best to have several seedlings, and everything was direct sowed. As you can see here, this is clearly roly-poly damage where they come in and just kind of gnaw things down. So this is my cabbage bed. I also have some basil growing here. Here is my cherry tomato. It has gone through a lot. It was topped off by high winds from a tornado. And I am getting daily fruit come out. And I harvest all that I can. And you can see it's producing nice size fruit. It is quite plentiful. And I've harvested for the day. At this bed here, now I have some beautiful marigolds growing in here. These are both marigolds. I have my parsley, additional bunching onions. I have some seedlings growing in here, and I also have a weed, a grass that's trying to disguise itself as bunching onions. I have a random carrot seed. I have a volunteer cherry tomato, and it's looking pretty good. I went ahead and staked it. It has both flowers and it has some fruit on it, so I'm gonna leave it since it's productive. Okay, now this is new. I'm having problems with this bed. This bed tends to be root bound. I have lots of trees in my garden. So as you can see, this large tree here has roots. The roots have formed in this bed. There's actually a mat. Now I have been taking the time to kind of dig out and pull out any major roots. And I've done that for these three beds here because this is how far the roots have gone. But this is my oldest bed. It's about maybe 7, 8, maybe 9 years old. And so I did break up the roots without disturbing the plants that are growing. I did kind of break up that mat. But I think the easiest way to deal with a root-bound bed without actually tilling the bed is to just add some height. So what I did is I put a bed on top, I filled it, and then I just kind of dug down all the way through to the bottom bed. So this will be my garlic bed. It guarantees that I'll have loose soil so that the garlic can grow. And as it sits for 9 months, it will not become root bound itself by tree roots. So that's my solution for my garlic. Okay, I have some more ornamentals. So I'm still trying to cater to the bees. And so I have my hostas in flower, and I'm going to leave these flowers for as long as I can. I have these absolutely beautiful black-eyed Susans. They are a friend of the bees and of hoverflies. They're actually in two places. So I have it here, and I'm just going to pan around slowly. And I have it over there in my garden. Now for my vertical towers. I am growing sweet potato vines. Now I'm in zone 5B, 6A. Realistically, I know I'm not going to get sweet potatoes, but it's worth a try. Even if I get one small potatoes, that means there's a possibility, given the right conditions, that I can have sweet potatoes in my garden, zone 5B, 6A. I've been harvesting the mint. I had some Yukon Gold potatoes here. I will not try to grow potatoes in a green stalk. I have places to grow it, and I think there's a better use for me, a better place for me to grow Yukon potatoes. So I will be placing garlic in these pockets for the winter. Here is my leafy green tower. I'm growing curly blue kale, lacinato kale, and Georgia Southern collard. So this is a collard here, and it's looking really, really good. I'm keeping it under cover. Of course, this is the curly blue there. Let me get you in here. Here's some lacinato and some additional collards. So not all the collards are at the same growth rate. I did try to stagger them out a little bit. And I have some more kale down here on the bottom. So this is my leafy green tower. We've had so much rain. It's been difficult to fertilize, but I was finally able to get fish fertilizer into all of my vertical planters. Now this one is a fruiting planter with carrots. So my carrots are growing really lovely here on top. I have the short and sweet and the scarlet nanties growing. I also have my strawberries here, and I have some peppers. So I'm growing jalapenos, and I've already started harvesting jalapenos from this plant. I also have some additional celery. Now, this has been the best growing year I've had for celery. I am just really producing celery, and I'm making my dried celery leaves to preserve for the winter. Now, in here somewhere is another jalapeno plant that I was shocked to see it's actually flowering. So, where is that guy? Oh, I missed it. Okay, here it is. So this is a smaller plant, but it is fruiting beautifully. This one is almost ready to harvest. I'm waiting for the skin to cork a little bit, and then I'll harvest it. Now I will be harvesting all of my jalapenos green because I don't like the intensity of heat from a red jalapeno. Okay, over here is my green stalk where I grow all of my chard. Chard is a big part of my diet. I pretty much add it to everything. And so I have chard growing in this tower and all of the pockets. And I finally got an opportunity to fertilize. And so it's starting to really grow. I do have a lot of wind damage from the tornado that came through. But as you can see, the plants are actually held up despite the winds. Okay, I also have some additional sage that needs to be harvested there. And I started for fall some mustards. And as you can see, We have germination there on the mustards, little tiny mustards. They're taking a little longer. And the turnips, just amazing germination on the turnips. And so I will be thinning. So here's my garden overall, despite the high winds, the constant rain, the flooding. My garden has produced beautifully. So, if anything was encouraging today, educational, or informative, consider hitting that like button, subscribe. Have an amazing day.